I'm Cathy, welcome to Lunarbird Book Club. Hello and welcome to my May reading journal. Today is Sunday the 5th of May and we have already had a few gloriously sunny days in May. So I'm filming this in the garden again. There are some very noisy birds around today and I think a helicopter in the distance. So I'm hoping I can sort out the sound enough that it's not too distracting. My May has started very nicely. On the 1st of May I submitted an assignment, which now means I am assignment free for a little time. I've got 2 more to do before the end of the course, but I've got a bit of a breather now. So on Thursday I took myself off for a beautiful walk around Ruffley and Bartley, and that was a really good recharging day. I'll put a little bit of the footage in here to show you what I got up to. Man, I love living in Lancashire and I love living around Pendle. It was an absolutely beautiful walk. I walked by the river, I saw lambs, I saw rabbits, I saw a robin, and I just had a good walk and think and a little pray and journaling, and I took my lunch out with me and it was just really lovely. In Ruffley I stopped by the Alice Nutter statue. Alice was one of the Pendle witches, and that statue is a beautiful memorial to her and to the other women who were tried and hanged as witches. And yeah, I just had a really good day walking around and it's done me good, although I was quite severely sunburnt by the time I got home because I forgot to put sun cream on. But never mind, it's a few days later and my face has died down a little bit. So on to book news. First of all, let's do audiobooks because I finished in May a really fun audiobook, How to Kill Men and Get Away with It by Katy, I want to say Katy Brent, let me just check. Yeah, Katy Brent. This was so fun and tongue-in-cheek and just a crazy fun book. It's about a Chelsea socialite influencer who is also like a vigilante serial killer of abusive men. And it was narrated perfectly, really funny narrator voice actor. She was excellent. I've really enjoyed reading that book. It starts a little bit gory for my taste. I don't really like a lot of gore, but in a book about serial killers you kind of have to know what you're going in for. So there was a couple of chapters that were a bit too much for my squeamish tastes, but I stuck with it because the overall story was really fun and I just had a good time reading it, so I really enjoyed that. And then to go from one extreme to the other, once I finished How to Kill Men and Get Away with It, I've decided that my next audiobook is going to be The Silmarillion by Tolkien, read by Andy Serkis, because I'm doing a Tolkien deep dive this year. So I'm reading quite a few Tolkien books and I've never made it past like the first 5 pages of The Silmarillion before. But if I'm doing a Tolkien deep dive, I thought I have to try it again. So I'm trying it on the audiobook this time to see if, when I'm not stumbling over how to pronounce all the Elvish words, maybe the story will make more sense to me. So I'm about an hour in and it comes with quite a good preface and some extra information. So I feel like I'm in the best possible position to get through the Silmarillion this time. And so far I am enjoying it. I'm sure there's bits I'm already not understanding, but I've got a good feeling about it and it's going to go well. So that's the audiobook update. Physical book update is that I went to the library and I got books. So my TBR was at 0 by the end of April. So I've treated myself to a little trip to the library, and oh, the joy of going to the library when you have no books waiting for you to read and you can just do whatever you want. It's wonderful. So I'm going to only very briefly show you what I've got because hopefully the rest of this video will be me talking about these books. So here we go. We have 5 Tuesdays in Winter by Lily King. This is a short story compilation. The Water Cure by Sophie Mackintosh. This is a book about girls on an island surrounded by a poisoned sea, and they've been told they'll never leave the island because everywhere the world is contaminated, and then 3 strange men get washed ashore. Interesting. And then my next book is In the Time of Foxes by Joe Lennon. This is another short story compilation, and this time the theme that ties all the stories together are the characters are kind of inspired by foxes. Foxes are my favourite animal, so I'm excited to read this. Then we have Are You Happy Now by Hanna Jameson. This is a story where there's a wedding in New York, and all of a sudden the wedding guests start sitting down and refuse to stand up. Intriguing. Last two books. Tales from the Tillerman by Steve Haywood. This is a non-fiction book about a guy who's travelled on boats up and down British canalways, and this is like a collection of the stories of his times and travels. So I really like non-fiction travel memoirs, and especially ones that are centred on Great Britain, because I love learning about British places and quirky histories and places to see and things to do. So I'm looking forward to that. And then my last one, which I've already begun, is Rewild Yourself by Simon Barnes. It wasn't until I got this home that I realised it was Simon Barnes who wrote this. So I read another book by Simon Barnes a couple of months ago that was, I think it was called In the Marsh or On the Marsh. So this is another non-fiction nature writer. This book is 23 ways to rewild yourself, so like ways to connect with nature. So I'm over halfway through. I'm really enjoying this book. And in fact, I'm loving the advice so much that I'm keeping a list on my phone of all the ways he recommends. And I'm thinking in June, when hopefully Lancashire Wildlife Trust will do the 30 Days Wild challenge. I love that challenge. I might try and put as much of this into practice in June and do lots of wild activities. But I really like Simon Barnes' writing, and I love his attitude to nature. And even in his last book, I found I took a lot away from it about how I want to connect more to wildlife and to nature, and this is already doing it. In fact, I might buy my own copy of this because I think the advice and the guidance in this is excellent, and I'm really looking forward to putting it into practice. Hello, it's Friday the 10th of May. I have coloured my hair since I last saw you, so it's had a bit of a refresh and it's quite a bit redder than it was last time I saw you. It's been a really sunny week this week in Lancashire. It's been lovely and warm, like a little heat wave in May. And of course, that is the perfect time for me to come down with a cold. So I've been battling a cold all week. I've been really gross and snotty and tired and struggling to concentrate. I took a COVID test because I was that tired. I thought, is this something else? But the test was negative, so it's just a cold. But I felt really rotten this week, and that has not been fun. Reading update, I finished Rewild Yourself and absolutely loved it. That was a beautiful book, and I do want to buy it and have my own copy. Then I read The Water Cure. I forgot to bring it with me. I read The Water Cure. That was really good. So that's about sisters on an island, and they believe that men can make them sick. They believe that men are carrying this sickness, and it infects women and makes women sick. So they want to avoid men at all costs. But then 3 men get washed up to shore on the island, causing some havoc. I would say with this book, it's very sultry, it's very tense, it's very atmospheric, but you want to go in it for the atmosphere and the vibes and the writing, not for answers. There's lots of mysteries set up that are kind of left unresolved or not fully explained, so I think it's best going in to reading that book to enjoy the atmosphere and not look for answers. But I enjoyed it. That was a really good book. Then after that, I tried and failed to get into the 2 story collection books, so In the Time of Foxes and 5 Tuesdays in Winter. I only read 1 story in 5 Tuesdays in Winter, and I read 2 in the Time of Foxes, and neither of them just really gripped me. I think my taste in short stories is like I really want them to like snap, crackle and pop. I want it to be very exciting, and these were just a bit more sedated, maybe a bit more reflective, a bit more understated. So for some people they'll really like that, but for me, I like my short stories to be really punchy, and I didn't feel like these were. So now I'm reading Are You Happy Now? I'm really enjoying this so far. it's kind of imagining what would happen if people fell into a depressive state in the same way as a virus or a plague would spread. So it's like a pandemic of people just sitting down and refusing to do anything else and reacting quite violently if you try to get them to stand up or eat or drink. A pandemic of depression, and what would happen from that. So I'm only like in the beginning, but I'm enjoying it so far. I really hope I feel better soon. Sorry to be moping, but just this cold has knocked me for 6. So tonight I'm gonna pick up Orla, and then I'm gonna go home. I think Rob's on bedtime duty, and I'm just gonna get in a bath and just hope like the steam heals me, because that's how colds work, right? And then I can hopefully enjoy the weekend and feel a little bit more energetic. Hello, it is the 21st of May. It's another nice sunny day. I'm happy to report that I am way over that cold that I was complaining about in the last clip. I devoured this book, Are You Happy Now? Really, really enjoyed this. There are 4 main characters in it, and I felt affectionate towards each one, but the main one that got me is Yoon. He was just so lost and struggling, and my heart really went out for him. So this is a fantastic book. If you ever see it in the library, in a bookshop, I recommend you pick it up. But yeah, really excellent book, really enjoyed it. Felt very much of this time, and definitely is exploring questions raised by the pandemic about life satisfaction and what to do when your life doesn't go to plan, and falling in love and committing to people or not committing to people. Yeah, so it's a sad, sweet book, and I really enjoyed reading it. Then after that I tried but did not finish Tales from the Tillerman. This again is like a memoir of a guy who's travelled around British canals and rivers on barges and narrowboats. And it was sweet. I got about 3 or 4 chapters in, but I just found my attention was wandering. So it's another sweet, gentle book. I just found that my appetite for sweet, gentle, nature, vibey books has already been fulfilled by reading Rewild Yourself. So I feel that this is a good book. I just started reading it at the wrong time. So out of my library haul, I read 3 and DNF'd 3. But that's the point of library hauls, is to take risks, get a bunch of books out at once and see what sticks. So once my library haul was finished, I decided it was time to do my monthly reread. So once a month I'm trying to make sure I reread a book on my shelves so that my owned books don't feel neglected, and in general I love rereading anyway. So I've picked up from my bookshelves Gone Girl. There's a reason why this book was everywhere when it came out. I think maybe this is the 3rd time I've reread it. But you know what strikes me? Because, you know, so many thrillers come and go and they don't have a lasting impact the way Gone Girl does. And now rereading it, again a couple of years on from when I last read it, I think the reason why this one has such an impact is that it was so much about, kind of a bit like Are You Happy Now? This one too is about when big world events interrupt your own life plan and not meeting either the expectations for yourself or the expectations of those around you, your loved ones. So a lot of Nick and Amy's angst in the book, and the reason why they behave in the bizarre ways that they do, is that they both have these pictures of what their life should look like and who they should be, and they can't live up to those expectations, and failing those expectations drives them insane. I guess it's a very millennial book. So it's kind of written about how the internet takes away a lot of creative writing jobs, like in magazines, and recessions, and the way people of a certain demographic thought their life was going to turn out one way and then it suddenly doesn't. And it was almost like there's a generation of people who were going to go out and become successes and superstars and glamorous people, and then that lifestyle falls apart, and almost as a second resort they have to kind of go back to small town living, family life. Can they live with those changed circumstances. So that's what's jumping out to me this time on this reread of Gone Girl. Like other times I've read it and felt very much about, it's about the expectations on women, you know, the cool girl conversation, and that's definitely still very strong in here. But I think this time I was also kind of more aware of like Nick himself can't live up to the expectations he thinks he should, either his own or his mother's or his wife's, or the media. He can't do it. And the not being able to do it is kind of what drives him into his most self-destructive behaviours. I'm now realising that maybe I'm projecting a lot of what I'm going through on there because I'm just finishing my university course and I'm applying to all kinds of jobs again, and I'm kind of feeling the pressure of, you know, as a mature student, you've kind of interrupted your own working life, you've gone away to university, and now you've got to kind of prove yourself. Prove that it was worth it, or I feel like I have to prove that it was worth it. And really, as I'm thinking about it, nobody in my life is making me prove that my time at uni was worth it. They all say the things that I know to be true, that studying for itself is worthwhile and good to do some personal development. So yeah, even though I'm surrounded by the most supportive crowd of family and friends ever who are not judgmental at all, I still feel that weight of expectation of, you know, prove yourself, prove that you've gone and done something worthwhile, and maybe that's what I'm reading into this book. It's so weird, vlogging is like self-therapy without the qualifications, or probably the insight. But yeah, I've only got about that much left, and I don't think it'll take me that much longer to read. And ooh, I do know what book I'm going to read next. I should go get it. Wait one moment. Hello, back. Okay, so I picked up a book last week. I went out to Browne with my mum and we had a little look around the shops, and we had brunch together and a walk around the park, and it was lovely. And in the air ambulance shop they have a book section and you can get 3 books for £1. So mum found a couple of books for her and my dad, and then I found this for me, and then between us we paid £1. Well, mum paid £1. Thanks, mum. The Ashes of London by Andrew Taylor. I know nothing about it apart from this is the cover. This is the spine, and the tagline is 1666, as the city burns, the hunt for a killer begins. Do you know, I'm finding more and more, if I'm buying a book, more and more am I looking for books that are beautiful covers and beautiful spines. With the library books, I'll pick up ugly books all the time. But now I'm like, if I'm buying it, unless I already know I love the story, I am more and more invested in the artwork of a book, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But at least I'm rewarding those who put the effort into beautiful spines. So yeah, once I've finished Gone Girl, this will be the book I'll read. And I think this will be my first bought book of May, which is, well, it's pretty good going. I'm also still listening to the Silmarillion. That isn't going well, but it is plodding on. Hello, it is the 30th of May today, and today I'm gonna finish filming this vlog. Then tomorrow I'm gonna edit it and have it all uploaded and ready for next weekend, and I need to get that done because on Monday we go off to holiday. We're off to Northumberland and I can't wait. We're gonna be near Alnwick. We're gonna visit a huge secondhand bookshop, so watch out for that in the next vlog. But before I get into all that, I need to share where I'm up to with my reading. So firstly, I finished Gone Girl, loved it. This book will definitely be one I reread again and again and again, and every time I come to it I get different things out of it. Obviously it did send me into a bit of a reflective existential crisis, as you can see in the last entry, but it's okay. I finished the book and I'm feeling okay. And then after that I started reading Ashes of London, which featured in the last clip, but I only got 40 pages in before I decided this wasn't for me. Unfortunately it has a female character in there who's not like other girls, or was kind of giving off those vibes, so that put me off a bit. And then there was just some very clunky exposition and it just put me off reading it. Once I put that book down, I realised I didn't have any books waiting to be read, so I ordered a couple of books to come that were kind of on my wish list, and whilst I was waiting for them to arrive, I reread The Little Lady Agency. Oh, let me hold this up so you can see the cover more beautifully. This, if you can't tell from the beaten up look of it, is one of my favourite comfort reads. I've mentioned it on the vlog before. So in the Little Lady Agency, you have a woman called Melissa who is very organised, is the daughter of an MP who she had to move schools about 4 or 5 times because her dad kept getting into scandals. So she has a great social network. She's very organised. She's got old-fashioned manners, but she's a complete pushover. And through a series of misadventures, she kind of adopts a different persona for herself. She puts on a blonde wig and some industrial underwear and some really nice old-fashioned outfits, and she becomes Honey. And in the persona of Honey, she runs the Little Lady Agency, which transforms hapless men's lives around London. And I really enjoy it, and I come back to this book every now and again, and it's just a good fun time. It's got a Bridget Jones vibe, and it's kind of from around that era too, so it's really good fun. Okay, the continuity is going to be a bit messed up because I filmed that segment and then I've come back because I feel like I didn't do the Little Lady Agency justice. In one way, I feel like this book was just a little bit ahead of its time. I think it was published in like 2005, and part of what drives Melissa to start the Little Lady Agency is that she sees her mother and lots of other women carrying the mental load for the men in their lives. Like, they organise all the flowers and the gifts and what clothes to wear and managing their social lives. And she sets up the Little Lady Agency to do that work for men who don't have girlfriends. And on one hand you could read that and go, that's kind of sexist, men could just do the work themselves. And they obviously could. But you can also see it in the light of, she recognises that the unpaid domestic social labour that women do has value and has monetary value, and she decides to kind of make that point or make use of that by offering those services for a fee without the emotional entanglement. So she does organise men's lives. She buys gifts, she buys flowers, she recommends clothes, she sorts out parties. She does all the work that perhaps a wife or a girlfriend would do for free, but she does it as part of her career. And I just find that raises interesting questions, because I don't think the terms like mental load or unequal loads in domestic lives was quite as much a hot topic as it was when this book came out. So that's quite intriguing to see that being tackled in quite a fun romantic comedy set in the early 2000s. So yeah, I just want to jump on and say that although this book is very fun and silly, there's also like a really cool, interesting feminist conversation going on too. I just also think her job sounds like a lot of fun. I kind of wish that I could sometimes put on a completely different personality and wardrobe. I'd especially love Honey's wardrobe in this. It's a bit like Honey's wardrobe and style in this is a bit like Joan from Mad Men, you know, very much like silhouette, old-fashioned but very glamorous and chic. I'd love to be doing that, swanning around in those kind of clothes, organising parties and doing it from a beautiful little office flat as well. That sounds lovely. So yeah, anyhow, those are just a few more reasons why I love this book so much, and I refilm this segment to get those in, and hopefully I'll be able to edit it so you'll never notice the difference. And by the time I'd finished the Little Lady Agency, one of my books had arrived, and that was The Serpents of Harbledown. This is another book in the Doomsday series. So this is medieval accountants travelling around England solving crimes as they resolve discrepancies in the Doomsday book, which sounds like a really weird premise, but I love this series. I love the covers. I love that each story takes place in a different English or Welsh location, and they're just really fun murder mysteries. And there's not just one detective, there's like a team of detectives. So one is like a Norman lord, one is a savvy lawyer, one is a very pompous monk, and one is a very shy monk scribe who can barely talk to women, and they all work together to solve crimes. And I really enjoy this series, and I'm slowly working through collecting them all. So this is book number 5, there's 11 in total. I've started that last night. I'm already on page 70, so I'd hoped that this would see me through into the first couple of days of my holiday, but I'm now realising there's a good chance I might finish it before I go away. So I might have to pick some other books to take with me on holiday. But I don't want to pick too many books because whilst we're away, we are planning to visit a really big second-hand bookshop. So I'm planning to do a lot of book shopping next month and stock up on my TBR. Yeah, so that pretty much sums up my reading in May. I have finished 6 books. I've got 1 still on the go. I'm still listening to The Silmarillion, so I won't speak about that until I've finished listening to it. Next month you will probably see some clips from my holiday, including some book buying and hopefully a book haul. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. We're so close to having 100 subscribers and I'm quite excited about that, so consider liking and subscribing to make my day. And look out for Rachel's vlog tomorrow. Her reading wrap-up should come out tomorrow. Yeah, hope you're having a fabulous start to June and we'll see you next week. Bye! Ola's shouting in the distance. She has appeared. Hi Ola! Oh, she's dressed as a flower fairy. She's telling me she's a fairy.